Hey folks, Rodrigo here, and today I'd like to show you 10 apps for iPhone or iPad that you can use to make music and help your teaching, and those are apps that I use all the time. Well, the first that we're going to see is called Fourscore, and it is used not only for read music, but if you own Apple Pen and a device that supports Apple Pen, Apple Pencil, Pencil or Pen? Apple Pencil. You can use it not only to read music, but to write music too. That's a great app. I'd use it for a long time. I have all kinds of stuffs here. You can look for your sheet music. You can scan your things, and you can also write your own music. You have all these options here where you can change the thick of the pen you're writing, the color. I have my everything that I use already set up. Uh, you can do the scores for your music. You can even set how many lights there will be if you're going to do like a tab or you need more lines. Everything but here is in Portuguese, but of course that will come in every language. And will be automatic setup for the language you have in your device. Yeah. So that's anyway a great app that I use all the time since I've got this iPad. That's the first generation iPad Pro. I bought this pencil, and since then I don't remember using paper. I do everything here. I write music for my students here, and it just works perfectly. Another great feature are the playlist capabilities. You can have folders with playlists with your bands or whatever. And in these folders, you can have your playlist for your gigs and everything. Uh, you also have a metronome. You also have um, Tuna. This app provides everything you need as a musician. You have a piano roll too, if you need to check some notes. If you're a singer, that's great. Okay, let's go to app number two, and that will be GarageBand. Okay, it can be a little bit obvious, but that's a great app for classes and even recording ideas and things like that. I used to make some backing tracks for my students. Sometimes I do with them those backing tracks that I can find online to buy. A lot of them they have iPhones, they have iPads, and they are happy to see how they can use it. So you have all this instruments, you have all this sounds possibilities. Another great thing that I like by about GarageBand that is kind of new. I'll go back to my files and I'll do a new one. Well, that's in the drummer sequencing, the way they put it down. It's really great to use it as a metronome where you can put a phrase that you want to practice together with the bass drum and the snare. That's like I usually do. So let's say you have a phrase that goes pa 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 pa. No? So you have here pa now snare And I'll put hi-hat open here. That's it's always open with electronic drums. I don't know why they do that, but I always change to acoustic drums. Yeah, I'm old school. So that's great for practice. The point about Super Metronome is that it's really easy to use. You have a lot of beats already saved here. You can do your own beat and works like the sequencer, the drum sequencer in the GarageBand. But like I said, easier. Now you can. A great feature that you have here that you don't have in GarageBand is progressive tempo. You can set BPM to start and how long do you want to practice that, and you can set an end point for the BPMs. So let's say you want to start to practice something at 100 and go until 150. That's there. You can set the bars that you change the velocity, the BPMs. So here is for every 4 bars to change, and you can set the BPM step. I never leave it at one. I usually do 5 BPMs only when I'm in my what I call the gray zone, that point where you do it right at, let's say, 130, but you can manage to play it right at 135. So then that's the point where I will go at 1 or 2 BPM steps. Well, that's the progressive tempo you can count into. So before it starts, we'll have a measure count. So that's a great app to use. It's already there. You don't have to do a lot of tweak and learn how to work, which at GarageBand takes a little while until you get used to. Here is really straightforward. The downside is there is a free version, but you can only use for a couple of minutes and then it would stop. So it costs something, but if you want to have a great metronome to practice and have that feeling that you not only play with a click, that's a great one. Well, the fourth app that I'm going to talk about is N-Track Tuner. It's really precise, and you can change all the settings. You can change how many hertz do you have. A lot of tuners, a lot of app tuners don't have that. You have standard guitar tunings. You have different tunings that you can set. But like I say, this one is really precise. Great tuner if you want to have something a little more precise and complex. Well, number 5, staying in tuners. This one is a great tuner if you want to use with your students, with kids. Once again, mine is in Portuguese. No? So it has this automatic modus, and if the note is too high or too low, it will show it there, too low or too high. And mostly for kids, that's a great app, or beginners, because you can see which string is being tuned, and you can lock at the string, go into manual mode, There's a lot of settings to do. You can calibrate it too. There are some tools. There's a metronome and some chords that they can check it out if you don't remember how to do uh, C major. Those those are some possibilities, and that's free. That's a free app, and that's what I have. I have the free version. You have to buy the paid version if you don't want to have any ads. But like I said, I only use it for students mostly, and that's it. One of the apps that I use the most, and that's what I go every day with my students when I have to practice some songs. I have a lot of backing tracks here, and mostly what it does is slow the tempo down. Well, there are a lot of apps that do that, but this one does with a really great sound quality. You got the time and the time to get yourself in. And now here is you can also set the tune's half step higher or lower, or even more steps higher or lower. But mostly, I'm taking songs that are half step lower, so the students don't have to turn the guitar half step lower. A lot of them had Floyd Roses and stuff like that. But now I might be mistaken. Well, the kids love the Chipmunks thing. Well, Anytune allows you also to export and all kind of crazy things. You can do playlists if you're going to do a workshop using playbacks or a pocket show using playbacks. You can also control it with a Bluetooth device, a page turner, or something like that. You also have the capability of setting loops and having marks for those loops. So, forget about it. Now, so great app is not that cheap, but it's definitely worth every cent. And Gott sei Dank, that's German for thanks God, they did in the last update what I've been asking for a long time, split view. So they have the capability to do split view, which is great. If you're teaching, you can leave the notes at one side and you have your playback at the other. You don't have to do the app dance. Number seven is actually one that I don't use a lot, but it can be handy. It can be really handy. So at some point, I had a student that just couldn't keep the beat. He had a huge problem with keeping the beat. So we stood weeks long just playing simple exercise or a simple rhythm with not so many chords, and I have to count the whole time. One, two, three, four, one, two. At some point, I couldn't count anymore, and I found and I found this app, and that's exactly what it does. It's called Speak Beat. New voice available, not now. And eins, zwei, drei, vier. Eins, zwei, drei, vier. Eins, zwei, drei, vier. Now, so of course, there are other voices and other language. So,
one, two, three, four, one.
but that's mostly what it does. You can do different time signatures. That's great. You can do subdivisions. So that's a great app if you need someone to count and you don't want to count one, two, three, four for like a half an hour. That was really handy. That helped me a lot. So it's there. It's a great app. Well, Amplitude is well known to be this line of things from iRig, and it's an amp simulator in your iPad or iPhone. You have a lot of possibilities. You have all the kinds of amps and all the kinds of pedals, and you can organize them. You can store. You can change those paths with Bluetooth foot switch. What I like the most about this app is the studio capabilities. So you can record here too, but I use mostly to edit songs. So those are some tracks that I exported from another app that I'm going to talk about, iRioB. And well, I'd like to mix two different styles in a song in the middle of the chorus. That wouldn't be able in the program. So I exported the two versions here, and I simply cut and paste to have the backing track as I wanted. That's mostly why I use the Amplitude now. I bought that a long time ago. I think they do a great work in doing these simulations, but I still prefer just a simple amp with a great tone and the real thing. Uh, but these possibilities to cut and paste a song to do this studio work on your iPad is like priceless. So that's mainly why I use the Amplitude to do that. But you can do that, of course, a lot more. You can record your guitar. You can try uh, different sounds. So that's also a great pre-production tool. Number nine, and that will be quite simple, is your recorder. I mostly use the recorder of my iPhone, but that's a great tool to record your ideas, to record your students so they can hear how they play. You can edit here everything. You can edit the recordings that you do. You can cut shorter. If I need to do some more cutting and pasting, then I will use the Amplitude, like I told before, export from here to Amplitude. That's a great teaching tool. So the recorder, quite simple, but quite handful. So number 10, this one is one of my favorites. It's quite simple to use, but quite handy, and that's iReal-B. And that's nothing but a kind of band in a box for the iPad, uh, without the complexity of band in a box. So you have your chords, your measures here. You can set the chords that you want to, and choose a style, choose the BPM speed, how many times you want to repeat. There's some other features like to show the chords, guitar chords, piano chords, ukulele chords. Um, you can mix the way you like the bass, drums, and guitars and keys. There's a whole That's a great tool for practice standards, practice and improvising, and even practice some solos if you want to, let's say, do the solo, practice the solo of Sweet Child of Mine, and you don't want to take the backing track and do a loop in the solo part or something like that. You can you can just put the chords here, you choose a limit, and that will play so many times as you like, and you pay over it. You cannot compare that with Band in a Box, but that's a really great feature to have in your iPhone or your iPad. I think that's there for Android too. I'm not quite sure. In any ways, that's a great thing for practice. There is still one extra app that's not direct with music related, but it's a great tool too, and that would be Documents. Well, Documents is a file organizer, like Finder in your computer, in an Apple computer, or Windows Explorer in your PC. And what's great about it is that you can put your backing tracks without having to use your iTunes, and you can export, you can keep your PDFs, you can put your videos here, and you would play them to. The app itself has the capability of slowing the songs too, if you want to practice slow, but it's set at some velocities. You cannot change as you want, but it's there if you need it. That's an app that I've been using for the last 5 to 7 years. I don't remember, and it's been always a great tool for my work. Well, that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. If you like those apps, please comment underneath. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I have a lot of music videos recorded. I did a project last year called Project Song Diary, but I'm kind of new with this speaking to the camera thing. So if you have any comment, if you want to make a suggestion about a video that you would like to see, if you want to ask about guitars and stuff, feel free to ask and stay tuned. Ciao.